Hello everyone and welcome back. It's time to have part 2 of our story about Paddington. Yes. And before we start, I have a few questions for you. So first question is, do you remember what happened at the beginning of the story in our part 1? Second question is, do you remember who are the main characters of the story so far? And question number 3 is, what do you think is going to happen in this part of the story in part 2? Take your time, pause the video, answer these questions, and when you are ready, let's continue to listen. Mr. Brown was as good as his word. Paddington had never seen so many snacks on one tray, and he didn't know which to try first. He was so hungry and thirsty, he climbed up on the table to get a better look. Mr. Brown turned away, pretending he had a tea with the bear on Paddington Station every day of his life. "Henry!" cried Miss Brown when she arrived with Judy. "What are you doing to that poor bear?" Paddington jumped up to raise his head, and in his haste he trod on a strawberry tart, skidded on the cream, and fell over backwards into his cup of tea. "Oh no! I think we'd better go before anything else happens," said Mr. Brown. Judy took hold of Paddington's paw. "Come along," she said. "We'll take you home and you can meet Miss Bird and my brother Jonathan." Mr. Brown led the way to a waiting taxi. "Number 32. Windsor Gardens, please," he said. The driver stared at Paddington. "Bears is extra," he growled. "Sticky bears is twice as much. And make sure none of it comes off my interior. It was clean when I sat out this morning." The sun was shining as they drove out of the station, and there were cars and big red buses everywhere. Paddington waved to some people waiting at a bus stop, and several of them waved back. It was very friendly. Paddington tapped the taxi driver on his shoulder. "It isn't a bit like Darkest Peru," he announced. The man jumped at the sound of Paddington's voice. "Cream!" he said bitterly. "Cream and jam all over my coat." He slid the little window behind him shut. "Oh dear, Henry," murmured Miss Brown. "I wonder if we're doing the right thing." Fortunately, before anyone had time to answer, they arrived to the Windsor Gardens, and Judy helped Paddington on to the pavement. "Now you are going to meet Miss Bird," she said. "She looks after us. She's a bit furious at times, but she doesn't really mean it. I'm sure you'll like her." Paddington felt his knees begin to wobble. I'm sure I shall, if you say so," he replied. "The thing is, will she like me?" So let's finish our story over here, and I can't wait to read for you our part number 3 of this story. See you next time. Thank you very much for your attention.